Trent Williams. He's been, he's like 8-time All Pro, and he's just a phenomenal football player. He's going to be a surefire Hall of Fame. He's playing against Von Miller. This is a couple years ago, and the reason that I like showing this tape is that Trent Williams doesn't do everything. Like Trent Williams is kind of like a Larry Allen. He's unorthodox in that a lot of guys in the league just flat out, most of the guys in the league can't flat out move, react, bend, be explosive as he can. Okay. So he's a little bit one of those anomalies physically, but it's really simple. When he gets to his spot under control, it's a battle of real estate. When Trent Williams gets to a spot under control, in this case, you look at where he needs to get you. Jimmy Garoppolo's got a 3-step, 5-step drop. You see the angle of the defensive end. At least initially, he's showing outside linebacker, showing he's rushing to this angle. So basically, Trent Williams needs to get to that red dot balanced in good body position, hip hinge position, hands inside, not showing a lot of chest. We talk about top of the helmet, shoulder pads, and hands is what the profile we want to show to the defensive end. You square the line of scrimmage for 3 kicks. You start turning after that because at that point, if you get there and you get to be somewhat pointed towards the line of scrimmage after that amount of time, the defensive end has to make a decision. Am I going to go through you or am I going to go upfield? Because I don't have any other moves. You've run out of options as a defensive end, especially when you have the ability to keep that guy at length. So we're going to punch through a couple of these or actually a lot of these with Trent and Von. When Trent Williams gets back to his position, he wins every single time. When he gets wide, he loses more than he wins. It's just like everybody else. When you go off script, when you start doing something different, you lose. And you might not lose and give up a sack. You might not lose and give up a pressure. But if you're watching the film at home, if you're the player, you go, man, I didn't win that rep, right? Because I didn't get my hands on him. He beat me inside. Quarterback got rid of the ball, et cetera, et cetera. Like we can start talking away, BS, PFF grades and all this nonsense. But when the players are sitting and watching how they're doing, they're looking at their process. When you look at wins and losses, you're looking about, did I do my process right? And because of that, did I put myself in a position to be successful? Or did I go off script? Did I click my heels? Did I put my hands too low? Did I turn too early? Did I do something that gives the opponent the advantage? So we look here. You're trying to get to that spot. You got the wide 3 technique. Always be aware of the wide 3. So that means there could be a potential game there with the TE game. And so Trent does a great job of getting back to that spot. You see he squared a line of scrimmage so he can absorb that defensive tackle. Okay. Now you'd like to see if you were in a great position, you'd be able to attack that defensive tackle. I think that defensive tackle is Aaron Donald, by the way, so it makes it pretty difficult. But you pass this off, you're in a position to be successful. You'd like to be able to drop back and attack the penetrator a little bit more. If you had square a little bit better base width, you'd be able to do that easier. But just from a pass rush, one-on-one or playing the game, you're in a position to be successful for only reason. Let's forget the hands. Let's forget everything else. You have a good solid base underneath you. You're pointed towards the line of scrimmage. You haven't turned. So the defensive end at the top of this rush, he only had one option, go underneath, or 2 options, go underneath or just keep running upfield. That is not the great Aaron Donald. Look at it again. Same concept. We got a wide rusher. We got almost a 4 technique out here. Kicks out. And he kicks out here. And so you look at this position and it looks like he's beat. Now Jimmy Garoppolo's on a short drop here. So he turns on 2. He's in a position to get picked. And he's in a position now when he has contact, he drops his foot. He looks like he's beat here, but because of the 3-step drop, even though he's beat, the defensive end cannot just run clean to the quarterback. He has to still travel upfield. So because it's a 3-step drop, it doesn't look like he's in a bad position. But the reality is, if we're watching this, you're not able to help your guard on that wide 4 technique. You're not able to keep that inside hand. And really, you're not in a good position here. You drop your back foot and you give up that edge, but he gets pushed by because as we have this on this rectangle, Von Miller has to get essentially 4 or 5 yards of lateral movement, and he has about, a foot and a half of vertical movement to play with. So it's very difficult with a 330-pound tackle, even pushing with one arm off balance, to run straight across that rectangle uh, without giving up any vertical ground. It's pushed by. See, the D tackle does make the play. So we get the wide three again. Now you're in this position. He's turning early. You see that his chest is pointed towards the sideline as the arrow is pointing, and he's turning actually before the defensive end is kind of challenging his leverage upfield. Okay, and again, this is the best guy in the league. I mean, this guy's surefire Hall of Famer. It's just not always perfect. That's the point. Because when the sets are inconsistent, everybody's inconsistent. And what happens in these situations is you give up that inside move to the tackle, because that tackle, you can't attack that tackle because you've turned too early. So you can talk about what the guard's doing, if he's doing a great job or not. His hands are extended, but did he really get a good punch on the three technique? But what we look at from the tackle's perspective, what can I do to be better? Well, stay square to the line of scrimmage for as long as possible, because 94 hasn't challenged your leverage. And now you can drive back on this defensive tackle and stop this TE game in its tracks. Obviously, these are simple answers to difficult problems. It's not easy to do, but conceptually, it's very easy to understand. If we just teach one thing all the time and get really good at that one thing, we don't have any of these problems. So right now you have this 5 technique, bigger player, and they're going to have confrontation right at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't really have to go anywhere. You just take one small kick and you have confrontation. Now you can get your hands inside so you don't get bowled back and whatnot. Okay, but it's relatively easy. And that's kind of the base concept of how do we pass pro? We get to that spot under control and we have a confrontation. You're right between me and the quarterback. I'm right between the quarterback and the defensive end. Excuse me. You're going to have to either go through me because going around me is going to take too much time. Now you see the hand extension here. He has kicked out and now he's being the aggressor. And this is what you'd love to see, regardless of, we could forget about the footwork and the body position, everything. He's got a hip hinge here, but he is the aggressor. He's got a punch and extend, keep the guy away from his body. He's punching him before I think this is Floyd is ready to get his move. And so because of that, even though he's going to turn and open up, because of this punch, there's just nowhere for the defensive end to go. In other words, if he just keeps going upfield, there's no way he can make the turn. So now it turns into that bull rush. And if you're Trent Williams and you're playing against a 260-pound defensive end, you're going, please bull rush me all day. Does a great job here. If this is what we were talking about earlier, I know this defensive end is not challenging his leverage as much as outside linebacker, but you stay square to the line of scrimmage. You help that guard on the wide rush 9 or 3 technique. And now you're just in a great position later on to force that defensive end. Like, you got to bull rush me because you can't go over the top. The quarterback's going to be gone. You're not going to go underneath because I've already shut the door on that. Now, if you kick out like he does here, now what happens? And the most obvious thing here to me is when you kick out, you're getting to that real estate spot that you're going to have that confrontation, but you're not ready. And you can see he's not ready because he's catching 54 right in the chest. This is, again, first ballot. I can't say this enough. Trent Williams is so much better than I ever hoped to be, right? We're critiquing some technique things so we can learn from off of one of the best players. Even at this level, with this level of player, when you catch, when your arms are outside, when you go, but it all stems from, I'm not really ready to have confrontation. 54 has his hands inside on my chest and bull rushing me. I'm in a bad position. I've turned early, and I just got to that spot before my 330-pound body was ready to have a fight. And because of that, he's in this bad situation, and he ends up getting bulled all the way back to the quarterback by a guy who's 260 pounds. Like, that doesn't happen unless he's not ready for that fight. Now, most of you are guessing, hey, Trent Williams should go to that red circle. Okay, if he goes to the red circle, he's got no problems because that guy cannot go through him. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. And if he gets to that red circle and is relatively square to the line of scrimmage, the defensive end has to either go through him or go upfield. And if he goes upfield, he will not be able to make the turn. The quarterback doesn't even need to step up in the pocket and will be in a perfect position to throw without being bothered. If he goes to the blue, he's got all kinds of problems. So we go to the blue and we turn early, we drop the back foot. And now the inside, because you've dropped that back foot and you're turned all the way around and you haven't even let the defensive end challenge your leverage yet, that inside hand, that stab hand by the defensive end is going to be able to open this up to the inside if he wants. He gives up the inside move. He gives up the inside lane. He has to open up like the hand of a clock all the way around and give that lane. 45 almost makes a play on a future Hall of Famer for no other reason, really, than it's just not good initial technique. See it one more time in live. And a lot of guys will say, well, he missed with his hands. That's why. Yeah, he missed with his hands, but you're not in position to win with your feet. We don't need to talk about all these different sets. We don't need, you can talk about hands all day. It's, look, if a good hand can kind of save a bad play, your feet win every time. You notice that he's got almost a 4-eye here against him. And then you got the wide outside rusher. Look at what he does a good job of just holding. Now, again, the defensive end really hasn't challenged his leverage. He doesn't need to do anything here. So he just sits, he waits, comes back. It's just it looks like nothing because nothing happened on the defensive side. Just a masterful job. Think about what a value any left tackle is to that guard, or right tackle to that guard against a 4-eye, a wide 3 technique. If you can leave your hand out there and literally stop, after 2-3 kicks, just stop the play, stop the momentum. Same idea here. You just stay square. Easy to say, hard to do for a lot of guys. If you just stay square, you just fall right into these games. You go wide here. You see he's got a little bit different stance. Sometimes a lot of these guys start switching their stances up now. And I know with a lot of the RPO stuff, and it doesn't necessarily matter as much. Like, people don't care as much. Like, it still really matters to me because I don't like tipping anybody off. Because in situations like this, if I know he's like that, he's going to go wide. I'm going to take that inside. Now, again, hey, Mike, we got a quick screen. You were trying to do this and that. Dude, a National Football League player never wants to feel like this situation. Like, oh, do I have to hold him, or is he going to hit the quarterback? Okay, you just never want to feel like this. And the only reason you feel like this is because you take a set that is unnecessary. We don't practice that set if we're not doing that 1,000 times a week, if we're not, or whatever it is, 1,000 times in our year to practice that set. Why take it in a National Football League game? Winning every single rep. Just look at these different sets. Great play. Now, this is Von. And you see by the body language, you got a 5 technique. Okay. And you've got Von's got to go upfield here just based on his body language. So he could turn, but you see, like, Trent Williams already knows this guy's going upfield. And so when you take that kind of angle upfield, now it's like, okay, what can he do from here? He's running such a wide play because they're really going to try to do some stuff inside that it's like he's going to run himself out of the play. I mean, he's 6 yards, 5 yards from Jimmy Garoppolo, Von Miller. And it's not by design necessarily, but it's like they're doing some stuff inside. I'm not taking this play off, but I do have outside contain. I'm just going to take advantage of outside contain. So all you have to do as a tackle is like, you want to go there? Let's go there. Let's make it easy. Let's not try to short set him or do anything stupid where he can just stab and go and turn me real quick, or give him any reason to do that thing other than, that thing that he's already planning on doing, which is, I'm going to run upfield this play, kind of take a play off.